Greetings, little bipeds. For those of you who don't know me, I am Heçakhrame, soon to be your favorite dragoness. I'm European, old, not so wise, and I love to tell stories. Today, I will begin this first international episode with the tale of the Juniper Tree. I'll start with the Brothers Grimm's version of the story, and then I'll tell you mine. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, lived a couple. They were young, rich, beautiful, and they loved each other very much. Everything would be perfect if only they could have a child. One day, the wife was under their beautiful juniper tree. She was peeling an apple, but the knife slipped and she cut her finger pretty bad. She watched her blood dripping on the roots and started praying desperately for a baby. A few months later, they discovered that she was pregnant. They were over the moon. But at the end of her pregnancy, she began to feel sad and ill. She started to eat juniper seed and asked her husband to be buried under the juniper tree when she'll die. As soon as he agreed, she felt light and confident again. A few days later, she gave birth to a boy. When she saw him, her heart exploded in her chest, and she just died of happiness. Her husband buried her under the juniper tree and cried all day long, every day. But one day, he started crying a bit less. Then he only cried from time to time until it just stopped. More time passed, and then he took a new wife. With this second wife, he had a little girl. The second wife loved her little girl very, very much, but she hated the little boy. She was always beating, pinching, and mistreating him. She was so horrible to him that the little boy started to live in fear in his own house. After a while, the second wife began to wonder how she could make the little boy disappear so that her daughter would inherit all her father's fortune. One day, her daughter came to her and asked for an apple. The second wife went to the chest where the apples were kept and opened it. While doing it, she realized that this chest was very heavy, with a very sharp iron lock. She said,
"Your brother will want an apple too. He'll be back from school soon. Let's wait for him."
When the little boy came back home, the second wife asked him,
"Do you want an apple, my boy?"
Her voice was soft, but her eyes, they were ferocious. The terrified little boy answered,
Yes, I would like an apple. Come then.
He followed her to the chest, and as she opened it, she said,
Go on. Take one for you and one for your sister.
and as he leaned toward the apple, with all her strength, she closed the chest. His cut-off little head fell into the red apples. That's when the second wife realized what she had done.
How am I going to explain this?
She closed the kitchen door, put the body on a chair, and cleaned the blood. Then she took the head, put it back on the body, and with the scarf around her neck, she tied the body to the head so that no one could see what she had done. She took the little dead boy on his chair and put him in front of the kitchen door with an apple in his hand. The little girl, Marlene, joined her mother in the kitchen and told her,
Mother, my brother is sitting in front of the kitchen with an apple. I asked him if I could have it, but he didn't answer. He's very pale, and I'm scared. Go back there, sweetie. Ask him again, and if he doesn't answer you, slap him hard.
Little Marlene ran to the door.
Brother, could you give me the apple, please?
But of course, he didn't answer. So she did as she was told and slapped him with all her little strength. Her brother's head rolled on the ground. The little girl got so scared that she screamed and ran crying to her mother.
Marlene, what did you do? We need to hide it. We're going to put him in the stew. I'll make a brown sauce and no one will find out.
The second wife brought the little boy's body in the kitchen and started chopping him into little pieces. When she was done, she put all the pieces in the stew and started working on a thick and glistening brown sauce. The little Marlene couldn't move and couldn't stop crying. Her tears fell into the stew, so much so that no extra salt was needed. At the end of the day, the father came home and sat at the table. He asked, "Where is my son?" The wife arrived with a big cooking pot full of brown sauce stew. "Where is my son?" he asked for the second time.
Oh, he's at his great aunt in the country.
"What? But why? He didn't even say goodbye."
He was so eager to go. He kept on asking, so I said yes. He's going to stay there 6 weeks. He will be happy there.
"I feel so sad. He should have said goodbye." While talking, the father had started eating. He looked at the little Marlene, who was now sitting next to him, still crying. "Marlene, why are you crying? Your brother will be home soon." Then he looked at his wife and said, Oh, wife, your stew is amazing. Give me more, please. She kept on refilling his plate, but the more he ate, the more he wanted. He sucked the meat off the bones and threw them under the table until there was nothing left. When he had left the table, little Marlene went to her room and took the nicest scarf she had. And while she was still crying, she went under the table, gently picked up the bones, and put them into a pretty scarf. She took them outside and put them under the juniper tree. While she put the bones there, her heart started to feel lighter and she stopped crying. The juniper tree started moving. He opened his branches and then closed them. And again, he opened his branches and closed them. A thick fog suddenly descended from the tree to the floor. And at the center of the fog, there was like an intense fire. And from the fire, a beautiful bird came out. A stunning singing bird that flew into the sky. When she saw the bird, little Marlene felt lighter and happy as if her brother was still alive. And she came home joyful.